The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Solayemi Cardoso, declared that nobody has the monopoly of the economy, stressing that this economy belongs to all of us. Mr. Cardoso stated this, that the progress so far achieved in the past 2.5 years amid bold reforms must be protected. Mr. Cardoso spoke at the opening of the annual CBN's Executive Policy Seminar, which was held at the Apex Bank's auditorium in Abuja. He said a situation where the country had a frightening ways and means to GDP ratio should not happen again. Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, revealed that the federal government was currently working to establish a unified national framework that will bring together both monetary and fiscal instruments to drive structural transformation. Dr. Uzoka Anite said at the seminar that based on the understanding, the CBN and the Ministry of Finance, that's understanding between both parties, that began to work together with other government institutions towards a coordinated growth agenda. I think that's key. It's a key takeout from that message at that event. Let's look at some of the basic issues raised at this important seminar. And of course, I mean some burning economic issues. Well, my guest is Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu. He is a renowned economist and vice president of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce. He joins me live via Zoom from Abuja. Good afternoon, and it's good to have you on the show, Dr. Ikechukwu.
Thank you, Tulu. Good afternoon.
Yes, obviously, I know we are taking up burning economic issues at this time, but I want us to start with what the CBN governor said yesterday at that seminar, where he says the economy belongs to everyone, no one has the monopoly of the economy. What do you make of that statement, and with where we stand looking at the efforts of the Apex Bank specifically now?
Okay, what the CBN governor meant with that statement was the fact that the well-being of our economy is not only in the hands of CBN, meaning that there are many other sectors of the economy and many other parts of the economy, many sectors of government that are also responsible for the growth of this economy, and that all hands must be on deck. That's actually what it means, because if we have more and more exporters, for example, those exporters are contributing to the well-being of our economy. And so if the fiscal side of our economy is doing well, obviously it's affecting every effort we're making. So we must all know that the economy looking good or bad is not only in the hands of CBN. That's actually the summary of the extent of what he said.
They're looking at their efforts now as the Apex Bank. Do you think that, with all of the challenges, have they been able to weather through the storm?
We need to know where CBN was coming from at the time this new team came on board. So many things were not in place. So many things were disorganized, and so many things were destabilized. It became a lot of responsibility to stabilize the foreign exchange market, stabilize money, monetary policy issues, and of course, money in circulation. There were a lot of things they needed to do, and I know that all those things have actually been regulated now and stabilized. We can see that people can plan with what they see today. And we're like it was said, anybody who is should actually go and bring actually what is being said. Today, there is stability in that market, and because objects that are not within their purview, they can control, which is not just only their responsibility, is just to ensure that we have enough supply of the foreign currency If we have enough of it, obviously, we expect that the exchange rate is going to continue to drop. Once we build the external reserves gradually as it is building right now, and it continues to grow. So all we need to ask is what are those things that can make the, and we just have by doing increase our
Wow, I think there is a challenge
exports and do have every policy that will increase exports in terms of going into all those foreign currency. We're talking about the mining sector, which we keep talking about all the time. We need to grow the mining sector and increase everything we're doing there. If we're doing well in agricultural sector, say in the export of cocoa, which is gradually gaining some traction now, we need to continue to grow it and set standards for ourselves and grow it all the time. We also know that the gas sector is a new sector that is going to give us enough revenue in the foreign currency. So whatever effort we need to do to grow the gas sector, we need to do it in order for that to help the existing crude oil sector, so that we have a whole lot of basket of revenues coming in to help to grow our foreign reserve.
We had a bit of challenge there in getting your response in some cases, but we're able to get a bit of it. Let me follow up by asking you that many would say Nigeria is still challenged, following these reforms. And of course, we are moving to the end of 2025. I think 2024 was 1 year that many would talk about, that was almost like the first impact, or the impact of the reforms were really felt more in 2024 than now in 2025. But Nigerians, who they are, they still have the complaints. All of us, even me, fuel is selling for above 900 naira at the moment. And we expected that maybe at this time it should even be as low as 700. Yes, we know it's depending on market forces. But what's your understanding of the economic rebound? Let me use that word now. That's our revival of our economy. What really is what are your thoughts with regards to the position we are this time?
Yeah, as far as demand and supply remain the way they are, to the extent that a lot of people are demanding for the petroleum products, the cars must use fuel, and we must use gas to cook and things like that, the demand will continue to increase. But imagine that the number of cars we have today become electric cars, or become hybrid vehicles that can use electric and fuel. Of course, you know that the demand of petroleum products will reduce. And if the demand of petroleum products reduce, obviously the prices of these products will also reduce. So a new thing that can actually reduce pressure on this pricing is the fact that electric cars will be the alternative. If we have enough electric cars and we have enough electricity to be able to power these things with a reasonable cost, we are going to reduce the pressure on petroleum products. That way, prices of these products will reduce. But if we're thinking that the government will bring in subsidy again to this particular sector, that may not happen. So what we do to make sure that that Nigerians start enjoying all the efforts being made by government, one of them in this area is just to ensure that we make possible electric cars, and renewable energy has to come in. If that happens in all sectors, we're going to be less dependent on petroleum products, and that would pull down the price because the demand will obviously drop.
You talked about CNG, which I also think is the way to go, even before we start to look at electric. My worry about electric cars, and maybe to some level the CNG cars, is maintenance. I think, or I still think that a lot of work needs to be done around the space of maintenance for Nigerians to be able to maintain these cars. Because if we put all of these cars on the road and we have just few technicians that can manage them, it could also be a challenge. So, but the CNG initiative was put up. Yes, a lot of noise at the start, but I don't know what's happening in Abuja, but here in Lagos, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 filling stations that sell CNG. What more can we do to take advantage of this cheaper fuel and cleaner?
We're not prepared for CNG. Actually, we're not prepared for CNG energy before we went into it, because today, a few filling stations that service them, they are just very few. And every day you pass through those filling stations, you see a lot of cars lined up. And you see, CNG was not part of the construction of these vehicles ab initio. So many people who have very expensive cars are not ready to take any chance with CNG. And so may not actually submit their vehicles for CNG conversion.
Like you, Dr. Ikechukwu, I don't think you're ready to convert that, to CNG.
Yeah, obviously. So the vehicles for CNG are not, are just usually the very low, expensive ones.
Yeah.
So those are the little problems we have with CNG. So we need to have vehicles that were manufactured as CNG vehicles by their manufacturers from their factories. That will help us to adapt to whatever thing that will happen. And of course, the technical side of it is such that the people should be able to learn on how to repair all these vehicles in this area. But I still think we don't have enough stations for the CNG vehicles, and that we're not prepared for it before we started.
So as we move towards the end of 2025, with all of these projections, geopolitical interference, if I'm allowed to use that word, and all of this, how should I say worried or optimistic are you about the economy now?
Yeah, the geopolitical interference that we see today is already affecting our market, especially our capital market. I'm sure you saw that the All-Share Index dropped just because of an announcement that came from the US president. A lot of people just decided to just rush in and reduce their portfolio investments in Nigeria. We don't need to. When some of these announcements happen, we fail to realize how they will affect the local market. So you see a lot of investors pulling out their portfolio investments in Nigeria, from Nigeria, just because of that. Of course, the new capital gain tax thing is also that which people are looking at. They don't want to start paying this as much as 30%, between 25 and 30% for capital gain tax. So they want to just make their profit right now and pull it out. So what has happened is that people are going to watch and see what's going to happen in 2026 as the capital gain tax starts. So until that happens, you see their investments that have left the capital market will start going to some other markets, probably property, so maybe money market will peak again. But all I see is that investors are going to be watching to see the impact of the threat, what the threat is going to turn out to, and to see the impact of even the capital gain tax and some other things that are going to happen in that particular sector. That's what I think is going to happen. But money is for local investors. They're not likely to take their monies elsewhere. It's only with foreign portfolio investors that actually have taken their money and may actually go to some other markets and to watch from there until the market, the threat is stabilized. Those are the things we're going to be experiencing by the beginning of next year.
Sounds really good. And the tax laws, which everyone has been looking at, saying, oh, this is what should transform our entire economy. I think in some cases, the tax laws is beginning to bring in some fears from some quarters. Well, let's say that, do you think that there was enough of awareness, enough of education, enough of enlightening processes or initiatives by the committee, to make Nigerians understand the positives of these tax laws?
Yeah, first of all, in my opinion, 25%, 30% is huge. It's a lot of money to be paid by anybody who's a portfolio investor. Um, Even if we were going to be adding some little percentage to whatever rate that was there, but not as high as 30%. You want to take the entire money from the investor? No investor will want to lose that kind of money. So I want to believe that even as we want to make money as a country, we should actually have taken the tax rate maybe from 10%, not as much as 30% or 25%. That is where the problem is. And of course, there is nothing saying that we cannot even amend what we have done. Yes, it is law right now, but nothing saying we cannot adjust it if it is going to affect our portfolio investment in the country.
Let's see how all of this plays out, because I've also talked about the implementation of these tax laws, and it's been something that has been on the front burner. Now, Dr. Doris Anite was at that event of the Central Bank yesterday, and she talked about the synergy between the CBN and, of course, the Ministry of Finance. Which is indeed very key. This is what we've talked about for years, that there's supposed to be an handshake between both parties for them to be able to forge ahead strongly, united, and with one focus, which is to build an inclusive economy. What do you make of that handshake? Particularly, are there some notable milestone achievements you say we've seen with this handshake between both parties at this time?
So far, I can tell you that in this regime, we have had the best collaborations and handshake between the monetary policy and fiscal policy ends of our economy. They have been having those collaborations even far more than the previous governments. All we need to do is to also note that there are some of the things affecting our economy that are outside the monetary and the fiscal policy, and deal with those things in order for us to have good results at the end. Because at the end of the day, the essence of it is just to have the same objective to grow our economy from strength to strength. So we need a continuous synergy to the extent that if the monetary policy suggests anything to the fiscal policy, they should be able to listen to them, and vice versa. Because we cannot be appropriating and reprobating. You can't be building and scattering at the same time. So those are the things we need to ensure that we are doing to ensure we have the same purpose, the same goal, the same objective, heading towards the same results. I think so far they are trying, but they can do more.
As much as I think I should let you go, I would always like to ask you this question, and I always ask you when I have you in. The micros again. I'm still talking about the micros. I spoke to Dr. Adedikpe on Monday, and we also had this conversation about the macros. It seems to be an economy where the investors will tell you, the big boys are doing so well. What about those, the vulnerable ones? So I'm still concerned, and I want to ask what you think in your mind should be the quick wins. Sharing money seems not to be the way out. Distribution of money, humanitarian affairs and all of this. But what do you think is a win? We see local governments now doling out some 1, 2, 3 handouts and all of that. But let me allow you to take up that question.
Yeah, actually, that many times in the past, I have always not believed in sharing of money.
Yes.
Because if you share money now, within the next 1 week, that money will finish. It will probably solve the problem, a little problem now, and tomorrow you'll get back to ground zero. We need to identify those things that continue to reduce disposable income of Nigerians, especially the lower, middle, and lower part of Nigerians. What are those things that are reducing our disposable income? There are many of them. Is it the high cost of education? Is it transportation costs? Is it health, providing healthcare? So we need to identify those things that are very essential for the basic needs of an average Nigerian. Once we identify them, then it becomes the duty of government. If you want to say you want to have palliative measures for the people of Nigeria, go to those basic needs. Of course, government is building some low-cost houses, even as low-cost as they are mentioned. Can the average lower-income Nigerian afford them? What do they pay when they go to hospitals? The health insurance scheme, is it working for them? If it's not working, what are the problems? Can we possibly give free medical care for Nigerians, as could be happening in other countries? What about education? So once we are able to deal with all these things that reduce the disposable income of Nigerians at lower levels, then we know we are indeed helping to increase their disposable income. So we need to look at all these things that are basic needs of Nigerians and deal with them. That way Nigerians will start clapping to say our economy is beginning to do well. Until we feel that impact, they will not believe that anything is happening, because as far as they're not getting it, they're not getting it.
That's it. Just like a minister of the Federal Republic would say, if he didn't day, he didn't day. But that's on a lighter note, though. I must thank you so much, Doc. Interesting chat with you, as always. And I think we should still have one more chat before the end of 2025 as we move into 2026. So I'm already making that request open here. Thank you so much, Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu, renowned economist, Vice President of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
All right, then, still to